Good morning. I'll just hang on and see if some people jump on the live before I get started. It's quite a nice day here in Edinburgh this morning. It's breezy, but I think that's probably going to keep the rain off. Yesterday we had quite a few torrential showers, so it was quite nice. It's quite nice that it's sunny this morning. Good morning. This is a regular Thursday live that I do, kind of called Knits and Cake for Breakfast, and the story behind that is that before coronavirus I used to host a knit night on a Wednesday night, and I would always bake cake for the knit night, and then on a Thursday morning I would eat some of the leftover cake for my breakfast because, you know, it's Thursday, nearly the weekend, you need that wee boost to get you to the end of the week. So I've been trying to just keep up with that because it's quite nice to have something homemade in the house. Good morning. So this morning I don't really know if you call it baking. I've made little drop scone pancakes. So just little pancakes, and we usually eat them with butter and jam. So on Monday there we had, sometimes my kids like to do a little bonfire tea, so we make a tiny wee bonfire in the back garden and we cook sausages and, you know, put a tin of beans in the bonfire and heat them up, and they wanted to make little tiny pancakes which you do on the top of an old tin can. So you wash out the tin can, take the label off, and you punch some holes in the bottom of the tin can, and then you put a little tea light candle underneath, put the tin can on the top, and then what was the bottom of the tin can then becomes a little bit like the baking tray or the frying pan, and you put a little bit of oil, and then you put the pancake mixture on the top, and the heat from the candle cooks the pancake. It takes quite a wee while, but it does work, and you know, it's quite a nice thing for kids to do. You get like a little mini pancake. So I had some mixture left, so this morning I thought, I'm just gonna cook it, not on a tin can, but in the kitchen. So I just made little drop scones. But I have to say, I'm not actually that great at doing pancakes and things like that. I think I need a bit of practice. My husband is actually the one who does, he's the sort of pancake maker around here, so I don't always get a chance to practice. So yeah, he's also the one who's really good with pastry. He does pastry much better than me, so that's another thing that I don't get a lot of practice at because he's better at it, so I just let him do it, whereas I usually do most of the cooking, but not those things. Good morning. And I've got my cup of coffee, of course. So I thought I would show you what I've been doing. Last week, I think, did I show you my Lowy shawl that I had been knitting when I got that finished? So I'll show you that in a minute. But after the Yorkshire Yarn Festival on Saturday, because it had been such a big, you know, push to get stuff ready, on Saturday afternoon I had really bad cast-on-itis, and I just wanted to cast on lots and lots of new things. So one of the things that I cast on was I wanted to make a new version of my Lonin shawl, which is one of the kits that I had for sale. So I cast one on with the mustard yellow. So I've done 2 sets of the repeats, and I'm on the 3rd one, so I think I've got 11 to do in total. So it's got little travelling stitch cables here, and then this little motif which is done by increasing, and then you decrease again, and then the big eyelets, and it just continues. Yeah, and it's done, it is fuzzy, it's gorgeous. So I've got the Jamieson and Smith lace weight held with the Rico Yarns mohair, which is really very fluffy actually for a mohair. And Ellen, you're asking how were my shoulders? Actually, not too bad, surprisingly. I think because I hadn't done a lot of knitting in the last few weeks, and also I've been trying to do my physio exercises a bit more, so I think that helped. I'm pleasantly surprised that I wasn't in more pain, and I'm still being able to knit without too much hassle, which is great. Yeah, so that's one of the things that I cast on. But I was trying to do it while I was doing my virtual knit night, because obviously we can't have our knit night in person, so we're doing it online. And I was trying to do this, but it does need a little bit of concentration. Although I think I managed. I only had to tink back a little bit. Bernie's saying you need the pale pink. I know, I couldn't decide whether to go for the mustard or the pale pink, but because my Loewe shawl, I did the pink, I thought, maybe I should do a different colour just because it would give people a better idea of what it looked like in a different colour. So yeah, it does need a little bit of concentration for those bits, but once you get past the cable, there's a few rows here where you don't have to do so much thinking. So that's going quite nicely. And then I'll show you the Loewe shawl, although I know it won't really be able to show you, like, because I'm quite close to the camera here, I won't really be able to show you. So it's knitted in 3 parts. There's some pictures on my grid. So it's got this center panel here, and then actually it's blocked really nicely. It's very stretchy. So I'm quite aggressive when I block things. I really go for it and stretch things as much as they'll stretch. So it was like a big crumpled heap. I'll maybe try and look. I think I did take some photographs of like a before and after. I always love seeing those. So it blocked out nicely, and I used my wires to do it. And then it's got this edging here on this side, which is the same pattern as here. This garter rib with the eyelets, and then you do the lace edging on the other side, which again I was really pleased with the colours, how the 2 colours played together, because I chose the yarn for the kits just from the online pictures. So although I did take my time and I had a good think, and I did a bit of research on Ravelry about what were the most popular colours for shawls, it was a bit of a chance that the colours would match when they actually came in real life, because however good the photography is on a website, there's so many factors affecting what the colours, the difference between the photographs and the real life. So yeah, I was really pleased with how those two came together. So this shawl, you need to pick up stitches, which I know is something that a lot of people find a bit tricky. I don't know if the people who are watching live find picking up stitches to be a bit of a pain. But the thing about this one is you're slipping the edge stitches of the main triangle. So that means you've got an obvious big slip stitch at the edge to pick up into, which makes it a bit easier. And you're also doing that thing where you just pick up 1 stitch in each of the edge stitches. So I've put I've written a blog post this week over on the website about picking up stitches. So it shows you, it's kind of like a how-to, a walkthrough of picking up stitches, and it shows you how to pick up along one of these slip stitch edges. And it's also got some tips about picking up evenly, because sometimes you get a pattern and it says just to pick up a certain number of stitches along an edge, maybe for a button band or a neckband, but it doesn't tell you how many, like what ratio to pick up, because if you're picking up along an edge and you're going to knit in the opposite direction, then you've got to pick up a certain ratio so that you're not, what you're picking up and then you're knitting in the other direction is not flaring out, because the tension between the stitches and the row count is very different. So that can be a bit tricky. So So a good thing to do there is to divide the edge that you're knitting up, get some stitch markers, the lockable ones, and just divide that whatever section that you're picking up along into maybe quarters or something like that, and then you can easily count how many you need to pick up in each quarter, and then it's a bit easier to spot if you've made a mistake or you've not got enough in one quarter. You can rip back that quarter rather than having to rip back the whole thing. So just kind of breaking that up. And if you go over to the blog, there's some photos showing you how I pick up stitches. As always with knitting, there's a lot of different opinions about the different ways to do things. So the blog post shows you my preferred way, and the way that I find is the neatest way to pick up stitches. Yeah, Ellen. Yeah. If you've got an obvious edge like this slip stitch, that does make it easier. But yeah, if it says pick up one stitch in every 2 or 3, yeah, that does make it a bit more difficult. So I do find splitting up the length of where you're supposed to be picking up, if you split it up in half with stitch markers and then quarters, or even more than that if you want to, and then you maybe know you've got to pick up 10 stitches in that section, and then if you don't, you can rip that back without having to rip back the whole thing, because there's nothing worse than picking up a big number of stitches, and then you get to the end and you realise you're a couple out, and then if you cram them all into that last wee bit, the extra ones, then you get, it's not even. So stitch markers are the way to keep that all on track. But if you are interested in learning more about picking up stitches along different edges, because it's different if you're picking up along a garter stitch edge and if you're picking up to knit in a different direction, I'm going to be running some online workshops coming up sort of in the next couple of months, and one of the ones that I'm thinking about doing is about picking up stitches. So I have a link in my profile to our online workshop waitlist, which means that you'd be the first to know when those online workshops are open to book into. But there would be a kind of 90-minute workshop, and I think one of the topics that I was going to focus on was picking up stitches, because I know that's something people find quite tricky. But if there was another topic that you'd like to do a kind of like a masterclass sort of workshop where it was quite a focused topic, then let me know, because I do have some ideas for some other ones, but that's my ideas, and it's not any good if that's not what the kind of workshops that people actually want to do. So if you are interested in doing any online sort of masterclass workshops with me on specific topics, you can sign up to the waitlist, and the link is in my profile. Okay, I'm going to let you get on with your Thursday now, and I'm going to sit down and finish my cup of coffee. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next week. Bye!